Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Healthy Business Podcast. I am super excited because I have the wonderful Hayley Sheard from Hayley Sheard Therapies joining me today. And we're going to be talking about the importance of looking after yourself and how, if we don't, that can actually have an impact on more than just our business lives, our working lives, but actually our wider lives and the quality of our life, the time we spend with our family, our friends, etc. So, Hayley, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi Sarah, thanks very much for having me. Yes, I'm Hayley from Hayley Sheard Therapies. I'm a massage therapist by trade, but also teach self-myofacial release, which we'll come on to in a little while. It's another form of self-care really, and super relevant to people, like we've just said, that aren't fulfilling their best lives because of perhaps being based at a desk or work kind of taking over a little bit, and that's not what we want, is it? So there's lots of things that we can do to help to treat ourselves well and get a little bit more out of life outside of work, really.
Something that is so close to my heart, of really having the mix of work and life and really integrating the two together, because we have both of them and they're both really important, but actually we need to make sure that one's not compromising the other, which kind of leads really nicely into my question of something that I ask all of my guests, which is, what does a healthy business mean to you?
Okay, so a healthy business to me is one that is successful in meeting the needs and the expectations of clients without overstepping the boundaries placed upon it by the owner, really. So I think, yes, we should be serving and providing that service, but not in a way that is detrimental to us and oversteps those boundaries. So it may be that we only want to work certain days of the week or certain times of the day, and we just, that the healthy business should form a routine of meeting both expectations, both people's needs, really, and not overstepping those boundaries, not becoming all-encompassing for the owner just to get those results for the clients. It should be a happy balance, really, between the two.
I love that. I love that. It's almost like we've kind of known each other and spoken about this before.
We're on the same wavelength.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so true. I think, you want to have a successful business and you want to get those results that you do, but that shouldn't come at the compromise of your health or, your lifestyle outside of work, the relationships that you have with everybody else. And designing your business, but also I think when you're working in your business, whether it's your business or whether it's, you are working in a corporate space, if you're spending a lot of time kind of sat down or in front of a computer, you're very focused on that kind of desk-based way of working, then that can have a real impact on our physical health. And then that has a knock-on impact on our mental health, can't it? So
Absolutely.
It's really important that we open up this conversation, I think, and really think about how we can improve the ways that we work, not just from a results perspective, but actually the physical practice of how we sit and conduct the work that we are. So tell us a little bit more how, because obviously you tend to work with mainly desk-based workers. What are the common things that people come in for you with? Because I think there's probably people listening to this that are like, hang on a second, I do spend quite a lot of time sitting at my desk, being on Zoom, doing lots of calls, and don't necessarily associate that with some of the symptoms that can come off the back of it. So share with me a little bit about what that means.
Okay, so the common ones that people talk to me about are upper body aches and pains. So it's the back, it's the shoulders, the neck, and then headaches. Sometimes even around the kind of face and the jaw and maybe the front of the body that we forget about a little bit as well. So the chest and the front of the shoulders, the arms, the wrists as well. We do have the odd kind of knees, hips, ankles, feet, all of those. So it is all encompassing. We become a bit robotic. It's just, we think that that's what we have to do. It's perhaps what we've always done. We don't really know anything else. And maybe we have tried variations. We've tried standing desks, but when they first came about a few years ago now, the people that I was seeing with those complaints actually increased bizarrely. And we couldn't really work it out to start with, because we were like, well, we're told not to sit, we're told to stand more. But actually, our body is used to us sitting. It's gotten used to that. But That doesn't mean to say that how that makes us feel is right. And also we've gone from sitting a lot to then standing a lot, but standing still and nothing really in between. And we didn't give our bodies chance to adapt physically to the changes. You know, it's very different position and your muscles are used differently. And so those common aches and pains were still coming through, even though the people were in different postures in their day-to-day life. So immobility has consequences. That's a biggie. So immobility has consequences. Take something from today. It's that don't stay in one position for too long. And that too long is different for everybody. So there are kind of written papers out there that say we should change our posture every 20 minutes, every 40 minutes, every hour. It's different for everybody, and you need to find out what works for you. But the biggest thing is immobility has consequences and variation is key. So it's really looking for what can you do to add variety to your day and allow your body to experience different ranges of movement, because we are made to move as human beings. We aren't made to be still. So it's about looking for variation. So some people are surprised, some clients are surprised when I say, if the sofa works for you for a short period of time, absolutely go for it. Like it's not a bad thing. Even the floor, sometimes people can be really comfortable on the floor on a laptop for 20 minutes, half an hour. And some people absolutely not. Some people now would be going, what? Sit on the floor. But you need to do what is right for you. And obviously working from home, we can do that a little bit easier than in the corporate setting, but there's still things in the corporate setting that we can do as well. But it's really just looking at your day. I ask clients to reflect on what their day looks like. Are there any similarities, or are they very, very different? Are you here, there and everywhere? And do your hot desk, or, you know, is it your own? Can you set it up for you? But just, think about your actual day and how that makes you feel at the end of the day, because a lot of people say that they feel tired. Is it because of the aches and pains, or is it because they actually feel tired and fatigued from the tasks that they've had to do? It's probably a combination of the two, really. And that mental kind of, you don't feel like you can make decisions very clearly or very quickly, and a bit woozy and a bit fuzzy. And then, you don't feel like you want to give, or you've got the time then or the energy to give to other things. So things like taking the children out in the evening, you just kind of want to drop them off, put them in the door and kind of go and sit in the car and maybe close your eyes or what have you, which is fine to do. But actually we should be able to enjoy going to see them play sport or enjoy going, to do physical activity ourselves, but we just don't feel that we can. So it's the physical elements, but also it's that just not feeling great at all at the end of the day. So that's what I deal with.
It's just having awareness of your own body, isn't it? Of just, and then testing things and just looking at, different ways of working that works for you. And I love that idea of, it's okay to be on the sofa. It's okay to work on the floor. It's okay to move to different spaces. And I think, there is that element of, I need to work at a desk. I need to be sat there. But that obviously, as you say, has kind of consequences as well. So this is kind of your permission to go test out some different spaces in your
100%. Yeah. Go and add variation to your day.
Yeah, I love it. And I think even just that awareness of the impact on your bodies of, feeling tired, asking yourself that extra question, is it because I'm tired, or is it because I've had extra stress and strain on my body today? Is a really great one to kind of just check in with yourself. Posture is a big thing. We know that. We talked a little bit there about that sort of way that our bodies are now so sedentary because we spend so much time at a desk or working in the ways that we've got used to. And if we flip that into standing, but even if you're, the way our bones are designed, they are designed to help our bodies move. And I think it's leaning into that. I've read a really interesting article about how children who are spending too much time on their phones or their tablets are now starting to have extra bone growth in their necks, because their necks are so much, they're looking down all the time. And that was a really interesting light bulb moment for me, that actually our bones are now adapting to our,
they do.
The way that
they do adapt so quickly,
and that's also
as well.
really scary, I think.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think when we go back and we kind of look at posture, if we're not taking a proactive approach to this, if we're not being aware of these changes and potential long-term changes for us, what does that mean? Obviously there's stress and tension on our body, but what are the kind of key signs for people to look out for? You mentioned headaches, neck and shoulder pain, but what are the kind of the actual stresses that puts on our body if we don't do anything about it?
Yeah, so you've talked about being aware of your body. It's key. Lots and lots of people don't have that awareness of, like you say, they may feel tired, they may have a shoulder pain, but actually when I see them, it's so much more than that. It really is just glaringly obvious sometimes when the person walks in. So you can see physical changes often. You can see that a shoulder sits higher than the other, or that your kind of neck will kind of protrude forward, or your chin is kind of pokey forward. But with regards to tension in the body and what that can do, it's huge, absolutely huge. So when we move, we produce lots of different kind of chemicals in the body, if you like a science, like a chemical reaction goes on. And often if the body is feeling that all the time, it's almost that fight or flight scenario. So you can almost go down the kind of stress route of your body being in that kind of fight or flight situation all the time. And your chemicals within your body are raised at that point. And actually, long term, that can cause so many problems, and much more than just kind of aches and pains. You can look at kind of how that affects your blood sugars in your body, and how that relates to diabetes. Even things like heart disease. So we know now that stress, which is, it's always hard to prove, but stress within the body and physiological changes of that can lead down the route of heart problems or increase your risk of heart problems. So being aware of how you feel at the end of the day is super important, but also, are there little changes that you can make to your day-to-day routine that dampen down some of those signals, that don't keep sending those signals charging through the body all the time? So little things. I've been practicing this a little bit recently because I've not been feeling 100%. So I've taken a little look at what might be the cause of that. And doing things a little bit differently. And I've been discussing this with some of my clients as well to see whether they feel that there are things that they could change. And they're small things. So I've been taking a slightly different drive to work. So my drive to work has been slightly different. So I've looked for it means that I need to leave 5 minutes earlier. And we don't always have that resource, but that does work for me. So I can leave 5 minutes earlier. It keeps me away from the hustle and bustle of the school traffic, and it's slightly more scenic. And I've just really made myself kind of pay attention to what it is that I'm seeing when I'm driving. So I have to do this drive, there's no getting away from it. I have to do it after the school run, so it's generally busy, but I can go a slightly different way. And I've arrived at work feeling different. Really, really different. And actually, I've also just had my windows down a little bit, even though it might be raining or what have you, just taken in some fresh air and just added a few more. And it's literally just a few more steps from the car park to the office. And I'm a different person when I've arrived. It's so super crazy. I don't feel like I've arrived and I've already done half a day's work. I don't feel like I've already got those kind of stress chemicals rushing around, or that my shoulders are always halfway up to my ears, and that I've already started to kind of get this turtle shell on my back of kind of protectiveness, and put up those barriers and bits like that. So it can be some super simple things, and really, if you can do a little bit of that with your morning, if you can prep for your day in any way that suits you. So it could be food related, hydration is a biggie, but just those little things, they really haven't changed my routine massively at all. I've not had to go out of my way to put these elements in, but they have made huge differences. So some of my clients are on the bandwagon at the moment of trialing some of these super simple things, and they're going to come back to me with hopefully some good stories of how different they feel when they arrive as well. Because the more you can be relaxed in whatever posture you choose to work in, the better really, because when those kind of daggers are coming at you, you haven't already got that protective shell on, and you can almost deal with those curveballs a little bit better. You have space within your system for some physiological changes to happen, then you're not already in them, and you've got nowhere to go, you've got nowhere to run and hide. You just keep taking it, and you can only fill your bucket so much before something not so pleasant happens, and that can be catastrophic really, and often leading to lots of time off work, lots of time off sick, and that can have knock-on consequences as well, can't it? So we want to try to alleviate any of these problems before we get even halfway down that route, really. So awareness is key, and then any little changes, and I've got some more tips to give later on as well. But small changes, little things, because if we try to change everything, we're probably setting ourselves up to fail as well. So
and it
tiny,
feels overwhelming too, doesn't it? When you're trying to change so many different things, then that can feel overwhelming and then increase that sort of internal stress. But you're so right, as being sort of through my positive psychology coaching, like we talk about how to add joy to everyday moments or to set yourself up for your best possible day. And that can come in the simplest of little things, as you've said. It could be, using your favorite shower gel, thinking about 3 things you're grateful for, and, on your way to work or in the shower, or even before you've got out of bed, there's things that you can do, like having a little stretch. And all those little things don't necessarily add extra time or anything to you, but it's just making all of those different moments slightly more joyful for you, slightly more interesting for you. And then it's that compound effect, so that when a curveball does hit, you're much better placed to deal with that. You're more open to it. You're not in that kind of negative space already, and your body's not in that negative space already. So yeah, I totally resonate with that. And I was the same. I remember being, when I saw my massage therapy clients, and it would always be those classic areas of like where tension's held, of, back, neck and shoulders is always the kind of the key places. But if we can alleviate some of those things and reduce the stress before it builds up in our back, neck and shoulders, then actually, the treatments are still really important, but it's taking a more proactive approach. And those in between the treatments, you're going to be there rather than almost going back to scratch every time you're having a treatment. And I think that's so important as well.
Just keep it on top of it for yourself, isn't it, as well? Like you say, not feeling like you're rebounding back to square one each time, and being dependent on somebody to help you out of that situation. There's lots that you can do for yourself, and it could be that there are lots and lots of aids to help you with your posture in a seated position and in a standing position at work. But even just little things, I talk to clients about recreating their happy space. So if you take yourself to a happy space, whether that be on a holiday or a family memory or what have you, how within your working environment can you recreate some of those things? So it could be just through a simple picture. You could have a picture of that view, or a picture that makes you feel kind of cozy and warm inside, if that's what you want, or free or fresh, or what have you. It could be certain sounds maybe. So it's not always about music or the radio. It could be about something that you could find as a recording, or even record yourself, and you could have 5 minutes just to listen to that before you go into work or on a lunch break or what have you. And even colours are so super important. So we have to write in black in a corporate situation often, but whenever I can, I don't write in black at all. I always write in purple because purple is just a good colour for me. It's a feel-good colour, or blue, like a nice kind of turquoisey blue. So even just the colour of the pen, or the colour of your post-its, or if you don't have a uniform, can you wear something with a colour that makes you feel good? Can you have something in your room that is that colour that makes you feel good? And it's really tiny, simple things. And I think just doing one of them, you may not notice the difference, but if over a week you could do a few of them, you'll really notice the difference, and you just feel so different at the end of the day. You'll probably find that you complete your task better, your mental clarity is better and improved, that you don't feel so fatigued, that you've probably got a little bit more in the tank to give to family activities or creating memories, whatever it is that you want to do outside of the work environment. And we can rely on aids, we can rely on laptop stands and foot supports and lumbar supports and bits, but they often come with a financial expense, and that's not available to everybody. But these things are super simple. There's little tricks, and I just think they help to pull that jigsaw puzzle together. It's just finding your way. But just if you have a team, or encourage your colleagues to do this, maybe having a little kind of chat about it at lunchtime, and talk about what could you put into your little toolkit that even if you are out and about, you can take with you. And lots of my clients use the aromatherapy wrist rollers. So if it's a certain scent that they would go for, whether it be for clarity, whether it be for calm, whether it be for energizing, you can get little wrist rollers that people use that are really, you can pop them into any bag and they don't cost very much, and you can take them away with you, and you can even try to make your own if you're into that kind of thing as well. But yeah, hydration. So a water bottle should always be in your toolkit. Keep really, really, really well hydrated, because some of those aches and pains can be alleviated just by your body being well fueled with water and well hydrated. So it will help your body to become more efficient at getting rid of some of those kind of chemicals, those kind of byproducts of us being stressed and tense. So a water bottle should always form part of your kind of treat yourself well toolkit. And then there's other things as well that you can add in. So like I say, different colours of things, different sounds. You can have your pictures in there that you could kind of look at if you just start to feel that tension is building. You could maybe have your screensaver. Some people choose to have apps for times to get up and have little mini movement breaks, whether that be stretches, whether it be mobility exercises, resetting the posture, even just like you say, moving to a different room or changing your position. You just kind of come out of that kind of dull, that kind of sluggish moment, don't you, when you're actually not being very productive at all. So if you're not being productive for 5 minutes or more, why not take 5 minutes for yourself and just see what differences that makes to you. There's so many small things that are accessible to most of us, really, and this is all part of it, isn't it? Trialing different things and seeing what really works for you. And when you reflect on your working day, reflect regularly on your working day as well, and document down, kind of make a little note of what you've changed and what you might like to change going forward. And do you draw a line at the end of your working day as well? Is there an actual, that is the end of my working day, or does your working day spill over into, your afternoon or your evening and things like that? It's so hard to not get carried away, isn't it? We all want to give our best, and most of us are passionate about what we do. And I think it's so key to have something which allows you to make that transition between your working day and the rest of your day, really. So yeah, that's another thing
So
to try
true,
to
isn't
look
it?
at.
When you've got your own business, there's always something to do. We know that we're always wearing lots of different hats, but being intentional with your time, just as important as being intentional when you choose to close off that time that you're working and enjoying the outside of work, is absolutely vital to so many things. I feel like people need to press pause and go back and just write down all of those little nuggets of gold that you've just shared there, and lots of different things that, loads of different tips and ideas and ways that you can make small changes. And this is it. I think when people are feeling, tired and stressed, they feel like they need to, that it needs to be like a full day of self-care. They need to go to a spa, they need to like book in for all of those treatments, or go and see your local massage therapist. And that is brilliant, but it shouldn't be a one-off, and we shouldn't wait until we get to that point of feeling like this. This should be a really proactive way. In a similar way that you're proactive with running your business, running your health is just as important. And actually, we don't want, you mentioned this, we don't want to get you to a point where something really, serious happens from a health perspective or your body perspective, that then means you're forced to take time out, because then you're not used to anyone. And most of us are servers and like to give, and we can't do any of that if our health ball drops right to the bottom of the pile. And I think rebalancing that, or even putting that higher, you're actually going to get better results. You're going to get more enjoyment out of the things that you're doing. You're going to be able to give more to your clients. For me, that's what, running a successful business is as well. Like, let's flip things and let's put you as that central force, because you are the central force to the business and you want to be operating at your best possible levels. So you need to be proactive in that, rather than leaving your health to the bottom of the to-do list. If someone's listening to this as well and just thinking, okay, this all makes complete sense, I'm going to add in all of these little tweaks and these little changes, but actually my back, neck and shoulders are feeling really tight right now. Like, what can I do to help bring that back down, or, alleviate some of that stress or tension that they're feeling?
Okay, so again, some super simple things. If you have the kind of means to do so, definitely get a massage booked in, but also, so keeping well hydrated, we've already talked about that. That makes a huge difference. And I think people really don't give enough credit to that until they've tried to just up their fluid levels a little bit and see how that makes them feel. It takes that kind of tenderness away from kind of the touch of the tight muscles and things like that as well. There's also breathing exercises, super simple breathing exercises that you can do. So if you could get comfortable just for a couple of minutes. And I tend to teach my clients square breathing, but there are lots of breathing techniques that are available out there if you were to Google, and it's just about practice. Lots of my clients go, oh, Hayley, this isn't really for me. Like, I'm not very good at relaxing. Absolutely, I'm there as well. Like, I really struggle with that. And it's only recently, having been forced to take a little bit more care, that I can, add this into my day-to-day routine without it really being a chore. But square breathing is, if I just describe it now, then you can have a little practice once you've listened. You basically visualize a square, and then starting in one corner of your square, you would breathe in on the way up to the far corner. You would kind of have a little pause, so you would maybe hold your breath a little bit, coming across the top of your square. You would breathe out, coming down to the bottom of the corner, and then you would have a pause along the bottom of that square before you take your next in breath. So you can draw it in the air with your finger, you can draw it on a pad, you can do it with your eyes closed and just visualize a square, but it just regulates your breathing. Often we breathe really shallow, and we don't take our time to focus on our breath, and we don't work those muscles. We should actually see some expansion in both our chest and our tummy. Not just our chest and not our shoulders kind of coming up towards our ears. We should have some expansion in there and feel that the sides of our ribs are actually moving when we breathe. So that can be quite nice as well, as a bit of a tip to see what's going on. You can place your hands either on the side of your ribs, or you can place one hand on your chest, one hand on your tummy, and you can breathe and just see what happens, like what moves first, or is there very little movement. But the square breathing is quite nice. And then when you get that, you can alter it a little bit more towards the more yogic type breathing. So you create an oblong rather than a square. So you have slightly longer kind of out breaths and in breaths and things like that. You change that shape a little bit, but just having something to focus on rather than just say focus on your breath. People are like, I don't know what you mean. I don't think I can. I don't know how to do that. So just creating something that you can visualize. I find it's the easiest way to teach a breathing exercise, but there are lots and lots of different ways. So yeah, keeping hydrated, focusing on your breath. Focusing on your breath you'll probably feel that your shoulders sit a lot more relaxed. Your kind of neck feels less tense, and the kind of tension in the back of the neck probably drains a little bit, which may subside the headache slightly as well. So some of that tension can just really, where the base of the skull and the neck meet, can sit there, and that can give what we call a tension headache, really. So it comes up from the back of the head and then round and into the eyes and bits. It can alleviate that. So that's another something. Taking some fresh air wherever you can, so stepping outside even just to, for a couple of minutes will help to ease off those aches and pains right there and then. But yeah, try to book a massage, and then if that's not an option, or for something to do in between, self myofascial release is an amazing therapy, which I describe as self massage and mindful movement. So it's a combination of the two. You do it with a tool generally, so you'll be using something like a foam roller or a therapy ball or something called a peanut. And people listening may be now cringing and thinking, oh, but that's always sore. Like, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure how that's going to help relieve my tension. It's the process. It's the whole process. That's just a small part of self myofascial release. There's other little bits, one of them being the breathing exercises. But yeah, if you can add some of that into your self-care, it's a super thing to do. And the ball and the peanut are small enough for you to carry around in your toolkit as well. So they can be super useful of a lunch break, or before you kind of go off and do crazy amounts of exercise when you've been sat down all day. Again, we've got that kind of both ends of the scale there. We've not got much in between, so it can really help you to transition between the two as well. It can be a nice thing to do. So I'd really advocate that people look into that a little bit more. There's self myofascial release therapists throughout the country, really, and further afield, I'm sure, teaching courses. It can be done online, it can also be done face-to-face. So it's a fantastic little therapy that you can really add in to take care of yourself in between any treatments that you might be having, and adding on to some of these little tips that we've been given today. So, yeah.
Amazing. And it's one of those things, isn't it? I think the key thing that's coming through all of this is just to take that proactive approach to your health, but also to be aware of what is going on in your body and not go from being super sedentary to then going and doing crazy exercise, because that's when injuries can happen. That's when tension can build up again. And I know that from my sort of sporting background. But I think with them, some of the tools that you mentioned there, with the foam rollers and things, I think people sometimes think you have to be, an athlete to have one of these, or you need to be doing like, hardcore cardio exercise and things. And you don't. It really is just about moving that blood flow. It's moving the muscles and things. And it's a really simple tool that you can use just to get things going again, get things moving without having to
Absolutely.
go into the hardcore exercise, which I know can scare some people. So it's whatever movement you're doing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be really, really nice. And the last lot of clients that I taught this to were just so surprised at how relaxing self-myofascial release therapy can be. So they had all expected it to be a little bit sore and a little bit painful. And actually, it can be a little bit sore because tension in our muscles makes them feel sore. And also the fascia, the kind of lining of the muscle, is another big thing to work on and can create so many problems and feelings and restrictions within the body. And yeah, absolutely, it definitely is not just for sporty people. It can be used by lots of people, generally done on the floor, but can be done kind of sitting in different positions, standing against the wall as well. So there's lots of different alternative techniques if you do struggle with some of the ones that we kind of think of when we talk about using a foam roller and things like that. It doesn't look like that, but the people, that was the biggest thing that came back after my last course, was it's so super relaxing. And it is just about, it allows you to take that time for yourself. That's the biggie. So the tool is only a small part of what we do, but taking time out for yourself on a regular basis to just assess where you're at that moment in time and reflect on why that might be, and are there things that we can change to that why, which would also then change how we feel. But then also working through a few techniques and then reflecting back to how do we feel now in comparison to where we started at the beginning of the session. And lots of the ladies were ready to go and have a good night's sleep at the end of the session, and they said actually that their sleep was better. Like some of them actually had a better quality of sleep because of how their body felt when they went to bed. They didn't feel like they went to bed lying there with all that tension just still there within their body. They've released some of that, and actually they weren't then thinking, oh, my shoulder hurts, why is my shoulder hurt? They weren't kind of having that mental dialogue with themselves as to why is this hurting, or have I done something serious here, and have I got to go and get therapy, and have I got to go and do this? They've melted that away and felt completely different, and therefore woke up feeling different as well. So yeah, it's a really good thing to do for lots and lots of different people, but can really help kind of desk-based workers to feel different, feel better.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so interrelated, isn't it? You touched on it a bit there with this link between our physical health and our emotional health, and just that headspace that we're trying to create. Like, it's so hard to think clearly if our body's holding so much tension, because it has to be released in some way. And it just, it's so interlinked, which a lot of people don't necessarily realize. To the
It can be a
extent
vicious circle, can't it, as well? It can be just a spiral. So we want to try to break that cycle a little bit, make some changes and get that spiral going in a different direction. So that's what this is all about.
Amazing. And I think one of the other things that I just wanted to touch on, that was kind of springing to mind as you were talking through things, is that when we feel physical pain or in a muscle or something like that, quite often it can be referred pain. And I think people miss that so much. And, you talked about the chest, that just gets forgotten about because you don't really see the muscles in our chest in quite the same way as we know there are muscles in every other part. And if you're saying that you've got a sore back or sore shoulders, so much of that can just be posturally related. That is just if it's not drawing our shoulders back enough, and we've got this something going on the front of our body that's affecting back of the body. So I would definitely, I know I'm a ex kind of massage therapist myself, but I think I would absolutely go and get like an expert's opinion on things to help you, even if it's just that initial kind of session, just to analyze what's going on for your body. Because we can Self-analysis is brilliant, but there is nothing better than someone who really understands the body and how that all interlinks, that can really help guide you through what is going on or what potentially could happen to you if you don't get things sorted.
It's often the most simple of things, isn't it? Like you say, so it's not always catastrophic, and pain doesn't sit well with us. When we feel pain, we think it's for a bad reason, but our body can give us pain for lots of different reasons, and it's not always. So if you take a paper cut, for example, it's super painful, isn't it? But there's not a huge amount of damage to the body, and often when we feel pain through postural issues, maybe because we're sat for most of our day or what have you, it's not necessarily that there's damage to the body. It's just a temporary blip for those tissues, and we just need to do something to encourage them to realign or reset. Don't always think because there's pain it must be really bad. It's not always really bad, and often it could just be, you might notice yourself that your shoulders are pulled forward a little bit. They don't quite sit back like they used to. But the more you're aware of that, and if someone tells you that, you kind of just go, oh, so I need to just put my shoulders back then. And you kind of force them back into this kind of crazy back position, which can cause a little bit more of those signals in the body that something's going on, like something's not quite right. And we read into those signals. And it's just because actually our body isn't quite ready for that movement at that moment in time. It's a little bit too a stronger movement. We've forced it into it, and now it's giving us signals to say, I'm not liking it. So it might just be that if we did a little bit of self-myofascial release on those chest muscles or on the front of the shoulders, that they would sit back themselves naturally. So it doesn't have to be a huge change. It's just about recognizing where you are and perhaps where we might like to be. We can't always change all of the postures that we've kind of gotten into over the years, because that's the thing as well. These have been building up, haven't they? They haven't come overnight for most of us.
Yeah.
So, the rest of our body has perhaps adapted to that. So if you take someone that maybe has kind of fallen arches, and then somebody gives them arch supports and they wear them all the time, they'll probably have knee pain and hip pain and lower back pain at some point because their body hasn't transitioned. So it's about doing these little things to help your body slowly go from one place to another, rather than forcing it into something that we think this is right. We think we should have our shoulders back, and we try and hold them there all day, and then we get a really bad headache that was worse than before. So it's little things, little and often is the key really as well. Just being really consistent with those efforts to look after yourself. So
important. Oh, we shared so many tips today. I think there's just so much in here that will really help people, and I just want to go back to that. It is about having that awareness. It's about making those small changes, but getting that expert advice and coming to see someone like you that can guide them through those things, to then have those, understand how to do the myofacial, that then you can do that in between your treatments. And that's just, it's gold.
It makes a huge difference to what you get out of your treatment. Yeah, it does make a huge difference to the benefits that you feel after your treatment as well, if you've been looking after yourself in between. Even with regards to, we always say as massage therapists, don't we, drink plenty now that you've had your massage, but actually drink plenty on a consistent basis, and you get so much more benefit from your massage. Your body tolerates that massage so much better. So, and it's the same with the myofascial release and any of these small changes. Really, just keep chipping away at them. That's the biggie.
Amazing.
Yeah, don't be afraid to try different things.
Absolutely. It's the testing and then tweaking and then retesting again, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's exactly like doing business. It really is. It's testing things, tweaking it, and then going back through. But we have to have ourselves in our optimal, levels of health to be able to perform how we want to within our work. So thank you so much for joining us today. There's just so much gold in here. I feel like I'm going to go back and re-listen to this as well. Where can people find you if they are wanting to reach out? Where are you based, and how can people kind of find you if they're wanting to learn more about you and how you do things?
So my Facebook page is Hayley Sheard Therapies. So share lots of tips on there with regards to some of the kind of golden nuggets that we've shared today. There's more kind of tips on there as well. Some short stretch videos, some kind of postural tips about how to adjust your kind of workstation to better suit yourself, really, and little things that you can do with regards to lighting and different things like that all make a difference to how we feel at the end of the day. And then my email is the same as well, so hayleysheardtherapies@gmail.com. So yeah, feel free to drop me a line, and if there's anything else that I can share, I'd be more than happy to do so.
Amazing. And I know you've got a course coming up specifically on myofacial release as well, haven't you? So there's go and have a
September.
look at
Yeah,
Hayley's page
absolutely.
and find out some more details, because it's a complete game changer. It really is. And I know we're slightly biased saying that because we are therapists, but we do it for a reason, and we see that instant relief from people that have gone through that too. So
I use it for myself, and actually posturally at the end of a day of massage, I feel so different now as well, just adding that self myofascial release into my daily care, and some of the other little bits that I've talked about as well. I was surprised at how much having your windows down and driving a different route to go into the office-based job that I do has made all the difference. All the difference. And that surprised me. And I know this is what I teach. But when you try it out for yourself and you stick to it, it will make a difference. And it's just finding those things that really kind of work for you. So if they don't work to start with, that's absolutely fine. Maybe come back and try them again in a couple of weeks, and just add other bits in and speak to other people and see what they do as well, because we can always learn from others, can't we? So but definitely share alike with your colleagues in the offices, and if you're in kind of home worker forums and things like that, then yeah, share me, share where to find me, and share those tips, because they can help everybody.
Absolutely. And I'd love for you to get intentional whilst you're listening to this, and, drop Hayley a message, drop me a message I'm on Instagram at Sarah Cook Coaching, and just get accountable. Like, what are you going to try? Let us know those habits, because then we can check in and see how you're getting on with them as well. And I think that is almost that first case. Like, you have to create that new habit, don't you? So definitely do that. Hayley, thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening as well to this episode. I will see you on the next episode of the Healthy Business Podcast. Any shares, reviews are always welcome, because it means that we have that ripple effect and we can get these amazing tips that Hayley has shared out to more and more people, which are just so valuable and makes such a difference to the success of your business as well. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you on the next episode.